So, my name is Tyler, and this is how I managed to get the game project to run on Linux. So, clearly we can see that it's able to compile properly. It'll take a little while to compile, but seeing all the green shows how it in fact compiles properly even on Linux. The way I managed to do this was going through fixing a bunch of warnings and some small errors that crop up in the inevitability of doing cross-platform support. And I additionally rewrote small parts of the Windows API and the Xinput API to utilize Linux functions and files. Re-implementing that made transferring the stuff over much easier, because we didn't have to change over which libraries we were using or anything like that. So, as we can see, it's almost done compiling, and it is just done now. So now, if I can go ahead and just do runtime/editor, and we can see the editor in fact runs. We can go to here, samples. We can open up the sample project, and if I go here and open scene and say open this, we can utilize and look at the next scene, or the next system I worked on, which was the canvas system. If I go ahead and we look at the hierarchy, we can see that there's a bunch of stuff here. Looking at the test UI thing here, and we inspect it, we can see that it has a UI canvas component on it. This component holds almost no data, but it existing marks that this and all of its children can be used as UI elements, and they will be handled by the UI system. The object that has a UI canvas and all of its children will utilize special components such as UI transform, UI sprite, and UI text to change up exactly what sort of data they will have. So, additionally, it's not actually required for every component to or for every game object to have a UI canvas on it. If we switch over to title screen, we can see that if we go into the title screen UI space, we can see that here only main menu canvas actually has the UI canvas component. And every single child of it only has, say, a UI button, or a UI transform, or a UI sprite. This allows us to just have one single canvas, as it were, to sort of represent like a painter's canvas that we are drawing stuff on for UI. So yeah, next up is the event system that I worked on, which we can see here from the documentation. There's a bunch of stuff here, and it is designed to work it's designed to work very similarly to another event system used for Java applications. And it works by having a single event bus where you fire events into it. And then there's Java annotations for marking that a function can take in an event. Now, C++ doesn't have annotations, so instead we use special macros for showcasing, or for marking these functions, such as the subscribe macro here, which just simply takes in the event that we want to subscribe to, the function that you are going to handle the event, as well as a couple other bits of data that are usually used for things like methods and some other stuff for organizing when specifically it gets called. The two main things here are event and the function that you would like to handle. Lastly, the last thing I worked on was I managed to get the code base of our engine more organized. Traditionally, or more recently, our engine has begun to separate individual pieces into these sort of subfolders. Such as if I was to go into source/component core, we can see that there's just a single CMake list as well as a private and public folder, separating out public interface from private interface, and separating all of everything dealing with components into this one small project. In the old Tempest engine code, a lot of stuff was just sort of dumped here with no regard. Recently, I have been working on splitting this up, such as if I was to go into C management, we will notice that it now has a similar public-private structure to some of the more modern parts of the codebase. While I haven't finished doing this yet, there are a lot of these folders have been split up properly, and my next plan is to start going through the rest of these files and start separating more and more of them out until everything has been separated out completely. And that is what I have worked on for this past semester.